You touch that switch and...
Which one, this?
Let's tidy up this tangle of film by putting it on a reel. It's alive!
What just happened? Hey, there we are. Okay. Hey, Shannon. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, man. I can't hear you at all. There you are.
Every time. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Well, what's up?
Yes. What's up, everybody? This is our new show, Flip the Switch. I am one of your hosts, Christian Paulino, and this is...
I'm Sprow, but you can call me Shannon.
There you go. Welcome, everybody. We are here to talk movies and all the such. Do we do guest calls too, Shannon, or no? Is that something that we do?
I was gonna pin. I'll put a call-in link in.
Yeah, that's if anybody want to get in the conversation.
Do that. But yeah, first unofficial episode. And then, at least on my channel, I'm doubling it as a Halloween special. So there we go. So movies is Halloween, horror movies.
that's one of the things that we can relate Halloween to. Obviously, there's a whole history of Halloween. Well, we're not going to get to that. We're going to get to horror movies because that's pretty much what we've done every single Halloween that we've been alive is watching horror movies ever since we were little kids up to now. Even today, sometimes I do day marathons each day and watch Halloween movies, but it's kind of impossible. I can't ever really have the time to watch a single like horror movie every single fucking day. You know, like that's just how it is. How about you, Shannon? Like, do you take the time? Yeah, me too. It's impossible.
I told myself like, yo, every day. I told my wife, I was like, I made a list and everything. I was like, oh, we're gonna do a horror movie. I was like, oh, I came up with a movie every day. I even came up with categories because like my wife hasn't seen like a lot of movies. Like a lot of the stuff I've been showing her like a lot of stuff, especially like horror stuff. And she doesn't. And not only that, but it was like categories, bunch of movies, and then like for the last few days, it was going to be a movie and a cartoon. And I was going to do. You ever see Over the Garden Wall?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's fantastic. It is such a good like Halloween fall thing, and they're like only 10 minutes. There's only one season of it, but that's what I wanted to do. Now I have been watching a lot of horror movies and stuff. Not like with my wife, like showing her stuff, but I have been watching. I've been watching a lot of like I watched just about every Nightmare on Elm Street except for which ones didn't I? I didn't watch Dream Child. Not that I didn't want to, but I don't know. Me and that movie have a weird.
It's not one of the greater Elm Street films, but I mean that's debatable across every single Elm Street fan, or people that are into that type of like the slasher flicks. You know what I mean? I guess, yeah, pretty much. I don't know. My favorite Elm Street movie is pretty much the first one. Like it doesn't get any better than that. It's that first film. The concept really sticks to it really hard. You get really invested with Nancy and all her friends, and just how it starts off. It starts off with nobody really knowing shit what's going on, and like as a kid watching that, and seeing like this just really weird guy that has no limitations to what he can do. Is really fucked up. There's a how do you say? There's like a thing they call it when you're scared in the middle of the night to go back to sleep. It's called the Freddies. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before. Like it's like a condition that people like make as a funny joke. Yeah, like I remember as a kid, I got really scared to go back to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had a nightmare about Freddy Krueger, and I was afraid that if I go back to sleep, that Freddy would come get me. And they call it the Freddies. That's what they call it.
The Freddies.
The Freddy.
I've
Yeah.
had nightmares about Freddy Krueger before, but I didn't know that there was like a term for it. The first one, the first one is definitely. I feel like most people would say that. That's most movies where there's like a sequel or like a bunch of them. People will be like, "Oh yeah, the first one." You know, you can't. I mean, there's a few movies that I think some people would say like, "Oh, the second one might be better," but like not with horror movies usually. The first one is definitely dope. I think that there's special things that I can think of that I like about each and every single one. However, there is one other nightmare movie that I think, aside from the first one, obviously, like okay, not including the first one, but of the sequels, there is a number one and a champion. And I want to know if you're thinking of the same movie I am. So on 3, we're just both gonna say what we believe the answer to be.
Oh, the best
And I
nightmare
want to see
movie.
what happens of the sequels. So
Of
on
the
the count of
sequels.
3. All right. 1,
Okay.
2, 3. Dream Warriors. Oh.
Dream Warriors. Okay. I mean,
I wanted to know.
Yeah, of course, Dream Warriors, because that one brings out most of the strengths of what the Elm Street series should be. Is they focus on the dreams, they focus on the characters and their weaknesses, and then they bring back
builds
Heather
the lore.
Langenkamp. Yeah.
Yes, they bring back the hero, and she. Oh, so just heads up. Any movie we talk about at all, we're just gonna assume you saw it. So spoilers, just for any and everything. If it comes up, just spoilers. So yeah, she dies, like in everything.
What you talking?
God,
You talking about? You talking about? You talking about Nancy? Yeah,
Nancy,
she dies.
Nancy dies,
Mm-hmm.
which is really corny. It's kind of corny. I literally just watched Dream Warriors like last week, and I think it's kind of corny how she died because it's like you didn't really fall for that. Because get this,
Yeah.
how would she know? Like, get this, we the audience know that. What was it? It was her dad, right? Came back as like a force ghost, and it's like, I'm so proud of you, Nancy. And it's like, how, like Nancy, you didn't like get this. She doesn't know that her dad is like dead. So like, why would you just embrace it? Like your dad just pixelated in front of you, and now you're
her dad's played by John Saxon, right? That's the dude that was in Scarface. That was
who doesn't age.
Yeah, and he shows up in New Nightmare as well. I think right. Shows up as a cameo.
Everybody shows up for it's him,
Nightmare,
Robert Englund, Wes Craven, everybody.
Wes Craven, but also like you would think like maybe people from the sequels as well. But I haven't seen New Nightmare or any of the Nightmare movies, as a matter of fact, like in a while. Like it's been a long time, and I have the Blu-ray set as well, so I should really get into it.
Watch it.
Like I bought that damn Blu-ray set. I still have not watched it at all. Like I bought it like 3 years ago. That's just what happens with me. Like when I own so much physical media that you just don't keep track of what you bought. Sometimes I'll buy the same shit and I didn't know that I owned it already. So I actually have an app now that keeps track of everything I bought. So when I find something I want, like I'll see if I already have it. Like I'm like, oh, okay, I have that already. I don't need to buy it. So yeah.
I don't even know. I don't. I think at one point I had some of them, but like I don't own any of them anymore. They're on. I think I watched them on like Max
on torrent.
That's
okay. Some people watch it on torrent.
On Max.
On what? Next? Oh, Plex. What is it?
No, it's HBO Max, but they call it Max.
I don't know why. Oh, Max. Yeah, I know. I don't know why either. Whoever owns that company now should not work anywhere. It feels like they're just trying to. I don't know. That's just the dumbest fucking thing to do. It is like take away exactly what brings everybody together to watch your stupid fucking service. Is like everybody's familiar with HBO. Why did you just like tear down those 3 words? I guess what they're trying to do is that they're trying to just like attract the newer generation of people who aren't really familiar with the HBO brand as much as we are, where we used to watch it on our cable box. And even back then, like HBO was a home box office, which was like a cable box on its own that would have movies for you to be able to watch. And that wasn't very common back in the day. And that's how HBO started, not just as a channel.
HBO was special, like where it was like, oh, HBO, that's the.
We got to think about it this way, though. Like so the things that were special back then don't become special after time. Everything leaves.
Man.
You know what I mean? So there are more special things that come along the way, and they might not translate well with us because we're getting older and we kind of embrace everything else that we liked that was older, and that's what makes us look older and just age by appearance as well. But like in order to like
Who's
have
old?
I mean, we're not old. We're relatively young. Like I'm 31. You're 32, I think. We're in our 30s. Like we are old. We
I'm
are
30, You're
older.
the same age. We are the same age. Okay, yeah,
I'm-
you trying to make me older.
I think now we're not going to get into detail. We're not going to get into details of like that type of stuff, like our age and whatnot. But it is what it is. Like we are attached to the things that we like, and the newer generation is attached to what they like. And as a person that like I love movies, but I also like to observe like things as a whole as well. And sometimes when you watch movies, you can get a little bit more context into like what someone is trying to do if you're watching a newer movie. And if that's making any sense, probably not. Not to be only observant to like the
No,
movies that you watch, but
it makes
culture
sense.
as a whole. Yeah. So like Max is Max now, and it is what it is. I mean, obviously, it confuses me still. Like I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? But it is what it is. Like it's Max now, but it still has all the content that we grew up with, like Game of Thrones. Actually, they're starting to take shit down now. That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
because of I think the strikes had something to do with it, and then also just them get it like the reason why, like one of the reasons why I changed to Max is because there's just the Warner Discovery deal and all that other stuff. But
Yeah.
but speaking of being a young bull, what was like, if you could think of like what were give me, because honestly I feel like I hate narrowing it down to one because I'm like there's so many. What were 3 movies that scared the shit out of you when you were
As a kid, okay. So as a kid, like at the very, very early stages of my age, I saw Guillermo del Toro's Kronos, and that movie scared the shit out of me. And I didn't even understand like what was going on, but it's about Kronos. It's one. I think it's like one of his first films, or if his first film. It's like this
I
guy
think
gets
that was
really
his
attached.
at least his first feature, at least.
Okay, so you're familiar with it. It was the amulet thing, and it gets on his chest, and he just starts
I
getting
haven't seen
very.
the whole thing. I saw like pieces of it, like on AMC.
Dude,
when I was.
I have not seen it. I have not seen it since I was a kid because it freaked me the fuck out. And I see that the Criterion Collection. Yeah, I've seen it at the I've seen that the Criterion Collection has his movies, like all the earlier ones. So Kronos is one. The Dentist is another one, but it's the second one, The Dentist 2, where he like fucks this person's teeth up and turns it into like knives. And I was eating when I was a kid, and I was like gonna throw up because of how gratuitous that movie was. Like at least from what I remember. And then the third one, oh man, there's 2 more, but I'll say Child's Play 2 because I mean I've talked to you about it.
One of mine.
Yeah, Child's Play 2, not Child's Play 1. Child's Play 2.
The second one. The second one's the best one. But
so what's your experience with Child's Play 2? Like before I do mine.
No. Just you're still.
Oh,
I'll get to it.
Yeah, you want okay.
I just want to point out. Like, that's one of mine.
So that was my first that's my first Chucky movie I saw was Child's Play 2, and the scene that I walked into was the teacher like being, in me and my kid brain, I'm thinking the teacher's just being mean to the kid, to Andy, and he's getting in trouble, but he's trying to tell her that something is bothering him, but she's not listening, and it just made me upset. But then the scene when she's by herself and she, all the horror like tropes happen, and then the dodgeball drops off in the closet. She comes in to pick it up, and then Chucky comes in with a fucking like with an air pump and stabs her with it. Yeah, like
no, the air pump is first. Yeah.
The yardstick comes in later, and that fucks me up even more. Like after that, but he gets the air pump and then he just fucking shoves it in her, and then she falls, and then he goes like, yeah, and you see him scream, and his face was unforgettable to me. His face was unforgettable. By the way, I was 4 years old. I was a child. Like I would like these type of things you're not supposed to expose little children to, especially someone like Charles Lee Ray, because a person like that actually exists. And like for me, too much of that exposure is not something that could be healthy for someone to see. But obviously, I'm okay. You know what I mean? But that movie fucked me up like from 4 years old to like 12. Like I was scared of Chucky all throughout that time.
Same,
And my
same.
parents used to drag me to Spencer's to torture me. Like they used to do that for fun.
Oh, because they had the Chucky dolls. Same thing. Like I couldn't like Blockbuster and stuff. Like if I saw
The Chucky
because
doll,
like
it
horror, even
freaked
when I
me
was
out.
little, like I was scared of horror movies, but then I was like attracted to them, and like I wanted to watch them, but then I would get scared sometimes. But there would be times where like I would get scared from a movie and still be like, "Oh, that was awesome." But Chucky,
Hmm.
dude, I couldn't even. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to like. No, I was. Oh my goodness, that used to scare the crap out of me because I think I saw. It was like when I was little. I saw some of. It was Child's Play 2 on. It was on Sci-Fi on TV. So edited for TV, and it still scared the crap out of me. And I like ever since then, like I was like little when I think I saw that on TV. And then like it was probably I was probably like 10 or 11 when like I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna face my fear. And like I sat down and watched them, and I love Chucky. I love I love it now. So but Child's Play 2 was one of mine. Another one was Pet Cemetery, which I know a lot of people kind of like to I know dunk on that movie. And like it is kind of clunky, like looking back on it a little bit now. However, I still like it a lot. I read the book, which the movie ain't so bad.
Because the book is
So
worse.
for anyone who's ever read Pet Sematary,
That must have been when Stephen King was on his coke binge.
book, oh my god, the book is horrifying. Get this, the book was so easy, and then I'll go back to it like eventually. I put that down because it was freaking me out, and then I came back to it and I was like, no, I gotta finish it. And like I remember like it being like late at night, and I read Pet Cemetery when I was like 22, 21. And like I remember like late at night in my room with the lights off reading it, and it was like, oh no. Oh yeah, but that movie scared the crap out of me when I was younger. Just everything about it. The bull Pascal with his brains leaking out. Of course everyone's afraid of the sister or whatever, in the bed, just with the scoliosis or whatever she had. Evil kids are always creepy. Kids getting hit by trucks, especially like when you're a kid and you see a movie like that's why like it didn't scare me when I was a kid, like the TV, the one with Tim Curry. I just thought it was cool. But like I think that's why like something like that is so scary, because like when you're a kid, you see something and it's like, oh no, kids will get done in this. It's like, oh, little kid gets hit by a truck and you're a kid.
I think going back from me to, I mean, I'm going to let you finish, but going back, this is relating to this. Going back to Child's Play, I think that's what scared me the most, is that it's a doll, so it's supposed to like market to children, but then using it in a sinister way. That's what shocked me as a kid, because it felt predatory personally to me. You know what I mean? Because I didn't like dolls, but I did like action figures. And like I didn't actually have the concept of things being able to become sentient and hurt you. And it wasn't only Chucky; it was the nature of the effect of like something becoming sentient and being able to hurt you. And yeah, Pet Cemetery. Pet Cemetery for me it wasn't an enjoyable movie, and it was only because I hated the dad in the movie like a lot. I thought he was a terrible actor, and he was really stupid in the movie as well. But I loved Eddie Munster. No, it's not Eddie Munster. That's the Dracula kid. I loved Herman Munster in the movie.
That road.
Yeah, on that road. I don't want to go that road there. Sometimes Deptford's better.
Sometimes
like,
that is better.
You do that way better than I do, dude. Yeah,
his
man.
death is terrible. Oh, like when the kid like uses the syringe to like cut the tenet on the back of his foot, and I'm like, oh no, which is like I feel like everyone. That's just like ugh.
Oh, we have someone in the chat, dude. Lormingo. Hello, Lormingo. If you're still watching.
That's my man's. I saw him just
Shout
the
out to
other day.
Nightmare on Elm Street. It's the reason I developed insomnia. Yeah, yeah. Still, hopefully not still today, but maybe the insomnia now is you're choosing to have that. Maybe you still have the willpower to be able to wake up till early morning. I'm not an owl. I'm not a night owl myself. How about you, Shannon?
I'm no, I'm not a morning person. But Nightmare on Elm Street definitely is like that's it's the idea, especially again as a kid. I was trying to think of like my third one, and I was like, I want to say Nightmare on Elm Street because Freddy Krueger definitely did scare me as a kid. But if I'm honest, when I saw like the first Nightmare on Elm Street, I think by that point, because I grew up in the '90s, just like you, so like by that point, Freddy was kind of like Ronald McDonald. So it was like I was familiar with Freddy Krueger. Now the first one did scare me a lot, but I thought it was just really cool. I was like, oh, that was awesome.
Dude, did you go through your other horror movies? Because I heard Pet Cemetery and what
Yeah,
was the other
definitely. I
one?
was I was trying to think of a third one. It was Pet Cemetery, Child's Play 2. And honestly, I'll say the last one, because I feel like there's a bunch of other ones, but like just I think back like being young, and I think I might have been like 12 or 11 when I saw this movie, but I'm gonna use the third one and say Jeepers Creepers.
that was
That
my sister's.
scared the shit out of me. Oh my god, I will never forget the night I watched it because I watched it and it was horrifying, but it went off and I was like, that was awesome. And I remember this is
Yeah.
when my aunt, you know my aunt, she's like close in age with me, and like she lived right next door to us, right? And I watched it at her house, and we were like, oh, that's dope, scared us, and it was time for me to go home. Now she lives right next door. Our houses were actually connected, right? And I go through the back, and then there's a gate there's a gate that divides our yards that had an entrance to get over to my gate. That like 10 feet was the scariest 10 feet I ever, because like I remember going outside and even looking up in the sky to make sure that there were no creepers or anything flying above, no scarecrows outside. I like it. I just, and that's how I knew it scared me, because like I went to because I left and I was like, all right, bye, see you tomorrow. I get outside and it was just dark, and I was like, oh. And something like Jeepers Creepers, it's very fantastical. It's not like grounded in reality. So I think even for being like 12 years old, it was a little ridiculous for me to be that scared. But I was thinking about it that night, even when I was in bed. So those are my
I think I
three.
was. Yeah, I think I was 9 when that movie came out. It was like 2001, and that was the first time I was exposed to Justin Long, and it was my sister's like movie that fucked her up really bad because of that ending with Justin Long where like his
His
belly
eyes, yeah.
button, his eyes were off, and then like where his abdomen is, like the creeper looks right through it, and that's the last shot of the film. And also is because you became like you ended up caring about Justin Long's character, and then just to see that he was a person that was disposed of at the end probably like fucked with a lot of people in
They
that
do a good
sense.
job at setting up like the movie, like the pacing's really good. Like that first scene with them on the road and he's like running them
Yes,
down.
that's
That
a
is
great
really
sequence.
intense. It's really
Yes,
scary.
yes.
And then like in the movie, like it opens up and like their chemistry, whatever, like the brother and sister is really good and like they seem real. And then this thing just starts. And then once that happens, then they like they see him or wait, or did oh no, they see him dump the body first, right? Then he chases them, right?
Yeah, I don't like I said like with a lot of these movies I remember bits and pieces of them. One of the stuff I remember, which was really creepy but so cool as a kid. These are one of the things. Jeepers Creepers is actually one of the movies that I think about in a sense of like a visual movie, like for aesthetic. And it's the scene where he picks up like the creeper picks up a severed head, and then he starts
Oh, the
biting
cop's
the tongue
head.
off. Yeah, and he starts biting off his tongue and he stretches it out, and it was like so freaky, but it was all done through a shadowy silhouette. So it was really cool. That I like that shot. That shot stuck with me. There was a few shots that stuck with me, and not only that, like the sound the sound design of the film as well, and then also just the little details they put in with the radio station talking about bodies being discovered that were over 100 years old, um, that had wooden teeth, like so that like signified it for what it was, and it showed you little bits of detail of what this thing is that's following them, and then you realize that it takes 20 years for them to like hibernate and then come back. So like, yeah, that's
Very,
that's
very original monster.
yes, yes.
What's
Now
what's
so
yeah, oh yeah, no, yeah, you go.
you go. You were going ahead. Like, what
No,
question you have?
I asked the question. I just I asked the question. You gave your answer. I gave mine. So what are you wishing
So
to know?
so like pretty much like we're here to discuss about how horror movies influenced us as kids. Like how did it influence us? For me, it influenced me to understand the nature of human beings as well, because as a kid I did not have any concept of the outside world. In horror movies, it didn't show me that the world is just a dangerous place, but that it can be. And I've learned that through very good directors like Alfred Hitchcock, like Wes Craven, obviously, and there's so many of them that I can't think of right now. Even James Wan, and I'm not talking about the Conjuring series. I'm talking about like the Saw series, Dead Silence, and the things of that nature. Um, and it kind of broadened me to want to be able to go through more cinema. Like horror movies was actually like my starting point to films in a sense. Like beforehand, I would watch movies like Death Wish or like Cynthia Rothrock movies, because those are the things that my father had: Pink Cadillac, Clint Eastwood films. But like I didn't really get into wanting to figure out about cinema until I saw horror films, because they are all cinematic. Like they have aesthetic to them, like the sets, like you can have fumes, and like sometimes the performances, like if they match in well with the backgrounds of the films, like you start to understand that there's world building in these horror movies, no matter how bad they can be too. Like if they just have bad actors, it's always sometimes about the aesthetics, and that made me more interested in cinema. And that's like partly what it is. Horror films are like a really, really big influence to me, like having interest in horror films to begin with.
Um, Honestly, not too far off. I don't know, because I think because people are like, "Oh, what's your favorite kind of movie?" or "What's your favorite movie?" I'm like, it's hard to narrow it down, but horror is definitely up there. Some of my like favorite movies are horror, or at least horror adjacent. They Again, it's a lot like comedy, which and I really really love comedy. So they're both, you can like talk about it makes it. I remember hearing Rod Serling, the great, the master, the creator of the Twilight Zone. He
Chain
said
smoker.
that horror, yeah. Oh, jeez. Um,
He said horror what?
he was a bad influence on me. He said like horror and sci-fi were the perfect. They were the perfect genres to like talk about things that were hard to talk about.
Yeah.
And I think especially nowadays with like what the kids are calling elevated horror, which I don't exactly like that term, but like I get it.
I don't know. I don't think that genre really exists. It's just a thing that
I
people
don't
are
think it
saying
exists
right
either.
now.
I think it's the same.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like when whenever a horror movie gets an Oscar for anything, they say it's a thriller, and it's like no. It's okay. It can be a
Well,
horror
yeah,
movie.
like Silence of the Lamb is a psychological thriller. It's like, no, man, it's a horror movie.
Yeah, same thing with okay. So wait, how many horror movies have won Oscars? Like 4?
The Exorcist. The Exorcist. I don't even know if I can't even name 4 horror movies that won an Oscar. I know The Exorcist won one.
So The
Obviously, Silence of
Exorcist,
the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs, Get Out.
Get Out. Yeah, best screenplay.
Yeah, Get Out.
Uh, fuck, man. That's a good question, because
Oh,
I
and
don't know.
Black Swan. Black Swan.
Black Swan. You
Black
consider
Swan.
that a horror film?
I 100% definitely do. It like obviously is.
Yeah, I don't mind you mentioning that way, because that movie within itself, it's just an absolute night. Like in a good way. It's an absolute nightmare
Yeah,
to
and
like
that's
just
another
be
one that
able.
people try to say, "Oh, psychological thriller." I'm like, "No, what are you talking about? It's
No,
about a girl. It's a
that's not.
the were swan. She's turning into like there's murder, there's sex, there's blood, like there's
Hmm.
body horror, like it. Yeah, that's a horror movie, no doubt.
It's a lot about abuse as well. Like yeah, it's a lot about parental abuse and neglect. Like this woman never had a chance to live, like to truly like live her life. You know what I mean? Like she was
Perfection.
beaten. Yeah, perfection was beaten into her. Like not possibly not physically, but psychologically, yes. Like that mother was very, very, very controlling, and also she was just always in a constant dread, like life, because it was almost like her mother was constantly reminding her like how much she fucked her life up. So now she has to make up for it, and she's constantly under this pressure. And then the way how the movie shot, it's so close behind her. Like when she's walking, it's like right behind her, and it's like kind of a signification of how she feels. You know what I mean?
It's
Like, did you?
claustrophobic,
Yeah,
and a lot
yeah,
of
and it's meant
the
to.
like
It's
all the
meant to be.
mirrors.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, but that's definitely okay. So what's that? That's 4 or 5 horror movies in the history of all movies. And there's probably plenty of other horror movies that probably should have gotten Oscar recognition, but I know a lot of people think it's like a trash genre, and like get this, it can be, but that still doesn't mean it's bad. Like horror movies, the good thing about horror movies is people like that. Like it doesn't have to be, and that's where the whole term about like, oh, what makes a good movie comes in. And I think horror is so fluid because there are movies that I think that are horror movies that we love. And if someone's like, oh, but is it a good movie? It'd be hard to say like it is, but at the same time, it's like, well, I can't say that it isn't. Like, you know what else I've been watching lately? I only watched like 2 or 3 of them, but Friday the 13th. And I was trying to explain to my wife the Friday the 13th series because the one day I was like, oh, yo, we should just watch like all 10 of them. And she was like, I don't know if I can watch 10 movies. And I was like, oh, no, trust me. I was like, it's not that kind of thing. I was like, you really like, I could put it on in the background. You're not going to miss anything. If you can sit down and pay attention, and eventually you're going to get confused because it's dumb. Like it's really, really dumb, but like it's so entertaining. And like the thing
Yeah.
is, they're all stupid. They're all like, quote, bad. However, there are ones that are like, oh, this is egregious because of what it is. Like a lot of people don't like Jason Takes Manhattan. I like it personally.
I do
I
too.
think I get why people don't like it. There's a lot of stupid shit in it, but like when he's isn't that the one where he's boxing the bull on the roof?
He's not boxing nobody. Like the bull trying to box him,
Yeah,
he
no,
just gives
the
him
bull's
one
boxing
blow.
him. He gives him one hit.
Yeah, and
It's bad.
Jason just his head flies the fuck off. Yeah, that was crazy.
Wait, does it
That was
fall into a
nuts.
dumpster or something? Like
I think so. It falls into a trash can or some shit like that. I forgot. That movie's goofy as shit. It shouldn't be called Jason Takes Manhattan. It's Jason Takes a Boat. Like that's what it is. And then in the end, they're in Manhattan for like a few minutes. Not even Manhattan. Like yeah, they're not even on Manhattan. They're like they end up. He ends up in Times Square. They're in a subway that's headed probably from Union, from like Union Square.
so this is only in
It's
like
a
the last 30 minutes because it takes them
yeah.
like almost an hour to get to New
And
York.
at that point, I think no one watched that movie. Like that movie didn't do well in the box office because they're already 8 movies in, and the movies are coming out like consecutively every year. Like how we got Saw, people were getting Friday the 13th at that time, and since the beginning, it was a shameless cash grab because they were just like Halloween, like everyone's making April Fool's Day, New Year's Evil. They're doing like all Santa Sleigh, like these holiday films as well. They all kind of stemmed from the influence of Halloween with how fun this slasher film is. And
That's where
yeah,
Friday the 13th came from. Like, I
yeah,
think it's
yeah.
like famously known. Like, Bull was just like, "Oh, let's just rip off Halloween," and like they
And not only
did, and they
that,
made all this money.
he did the poster before they even made the movie. Like that glass and the Friday the 13th, and they put it in a newspaper, and they didn't even make the movie yet. And then when the movie came out, it really did get popular because of people's satiation for wanting to watch more films like that had these kills. You know, it wasn't as common back in the day. Like before that, you did have Giaggio movies and stuff like that, but you didn't have like regular slashers like we're given like every year now. It's like nothing, but back then it was very, very rare. So when you watch it today and you're like, why the fuck is this? Why was this popular? It was because wasn't common at the time. Like, yes, we were getting slashers, but with Friday the 13th, at least it did have somewhat of a background. And what's really memorable about that first movie was the very end of it when the woman gets like dragged down by Jason's corpse in the film. Like his kid corpse.
Yeah, Jason comes out the water.
Yeah. And then they were just developing that character as it went along, and based upon the audience's reception, Jason became what he was. And at the fourth film, they killed him off, but that didn't really get good reception because people were still wanting.
And that's
Jason.
one of the best ones.
One of the best ones, yes, and really one of the
the fourth one is one of
the films that people consider to be the worst Jason movies tend to be my favorite. Like I love the fifth one, The New Blood.
No,
yes, I love that one. I love that one.
Why?
It's so good. I really do like it. Like I know Jason's not in it at all. No. I know that. I know that he's not in it at all. And it's a copycat movie, but it has humor to it to me because of how very dysfunctional. I mean, it's obviously a group of juvenile kids, and they kill the fat boy and the fat kid in the movie, not fat boy. They kill him. He's like the Seth Rogen looking motherfucker. Seth Rogen was like two times. Yeah, with the chocolate bar.
Yeah.
And this kid just comes in. He's tired of his shit. Just axes his back and like kills him at cold blood. And then you end up seeing that the twist is that the father was there and saw that, so he took revenge on everybody. And look, there's not a lot.
Wasn't in his life, but he cared.
Yeah, it's like the movie's just fucking insane. Like
he murdered a bunch of people that had nothing to do with it.
Yes, and was that? Oh man! All right, so was that where Tommy Jarvis first showed up? Because, like I said, like a lot of these movies,
Tommy. That's when Tommy is. So the fifth one, that's the one with the copycat. Because I will never forget when the first time I watched it. Because I remember the first time I watched it, I was.
But Tommy Jarvis is in the fifth one, though. Tommy Jarvis is in the fifth one now.
Tommy's
that's the introduction.
In the sixth one. No, the introduction. Remember, he was Corey Feldman. That was the fourth one, the awesome one. Remember, because
yes. Yeah. Thank you. Tommy Jarvis is Corey Feldman in the first one. Then the fifth one, he's like a degenerate kid because of the trauma.
He's way cooler than he is in the fifth one.
And then the sixth one is when Jason's a fucking zombie, basically. Like they put a fucking like a steel rod in his heart and a fucking lightning bolt hits him. That is amazing. That's why I love the fifth one. I love all the Jason movies.
Isn't it the fourth one, right? Because that's when
what are you talking about? The fourth one?
No, it is the sixth. No, it is the sixth one. The sixth one when Tommy goes to his grave.
The sixth one, yes.
He's dead.
Yes.
And in the beginning, he gets up. And then, wait, is that the one with the psychic girl, or is that the next one?
That's the next one. One. Yeah.
I like that one too.
That one's pretty good, yeah. They just become nuts after that. My favorite Jason movie is another one people really don't like.
Oh, you're gonna say, yeah, we talked about
Jason Goes to Hell. That's my favorite Friday the 13th movie. I love it. You know what? Fuck all y'all. I'm like Lance Reddick and fucking like Eric Andre show. I'm like, fuck all y'all. Like when it comes to fucking Jason Goes to Hell, that movie, I will fucking die in my grave with a copy of Jason Goes to Hell on my fucking coffin because I love that movie so much. Oh my god, it is absolutely insane. I love the embalming scene when Jason's in the morgue, and just how like the movie just starts within itself in general. Like that black dude's just kind of inspecting the body, and the credit rolls are coming in. And even that beforehand in the beginning, it was all a setup. Like Jason's getting getting this girl, but the girl ends up being a cop. They shoot the shit out of him, blow him the fuck up.
Yeah, the first scene is pretty dope. I'll say that.
That whole movie's dope. That whole movie's fucking dope. He is a demon parasite that gets into the vagina of a woman and then like something happens. What the fuck happened with that movie? I just remember that movie being absolutely amazing. And I've been trying to find a place that is showing it on a 35 millimeter a format, but it's not very common. That's one of the things. I saw Jason X and Freddy vs. Jason on 35.
I was just about
a week
to
ago.
bring up both of those because Jason Goes to Hell has one cool thing about it, aside from the opening, the ending.
The ending.
Where, and I remember seeing that like as a kid or whatever, and I couldn't tell you when I saw it. I don't know if Jason Goes to Hell. Obviously, it was newer than it is now, but I don't know if this is like when it just came out or whatever. But I saw it. It was on TV, and I remember just Freddy's hand coming out and grabbing the mask, and it was like, what?
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
Snap! You know what that means? And then nothing for like a really, really, really like I went through puberty and everything, and
we did
nothing. Yeah, like at least puberty was around when Freddy vs. Jason was coming out. But before Freddy vs. Jason Voorhees, he went somewhere.
Yeah, he did.
He went to hell, and then he went. Where did he go?
He went to hell.
He went to hell.
But then in this reality, he went to space. Like they
went to space.
Yes, he did. But before he went to space, he was still in so this movie's really stupid. I mean all of them are, but this one is especially really stupid because the name of the facility is the name of the facility is the Crystal Lake facility.
Lab.
Yeah, it's like it's really dumb. It's like the biggest familiarity with the Friday franchise is Crystal Lake, so obviously that's what they're gonna call it. And then he gets free. He kills a couple people before he gets frozen, along with the girl who gets frozen along with him. But then she gets unfrozen later in the film. And everyone is doing absolutely the wrong thing. They're in this state-of-the-art like ship, and they're supposed to be genius scientists, but like some of them are too busy fucking each other. It
looks like a sci-fi channel movie, dude.
Yes, it looks like an episode of Andromeda, like a sci-fi movie, or a sci-fi show, like something like that with Jason in it.
It does. It's like it
does.
I think it was like the most expensive one. I think up until that point.
Wow. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, they're not really that expensive.
Terrible. I mean, yeah, like Friday the 13th. But think about this. It's like you're gonna make Jason Goes this, and for the record, folks, I love Jason X. I love that movie. I think it is fantastic. It is dumbest. It's dumb fun at its purest. Some of the best kills in the franchise, or one of the best kills in the franchise, is in that movie where he takes the girl and puts her head in the liquid nitrogen and then smashes it.
Yes, that's the best kill of the movie. Is the liquid nitrogen, grabbing her, fucking shoving her in there, and then bam, and like how her head smashes too. It's like literally her entire head except the backside where her spinal cord starts getting in. Yes, it was an amazingly done kill. It's one of the best kills in the franchise, but it's also one of the best kills I've seen in a slasher because it's just so straightforward and yeah. It's very creative. I like that. Jason X has like really good moments in it. And they even like bring back some kills from like earlier franchises, like the sleeping bag.
The sleeping bag, yeah.
But it was funny at that point because it's like what you would expect from him. But it was a lot better because it was a simulation, and I mean, like the girls like introduce
Let's
themselves
drink and have premarital sex.
we love premarital sex, and then he just like fucking beats the shit out of them through it like with a tree.
Hate premarital sex.
Yo, okay, so how Jason comes back to life in that movie in Jason X is like he hears a girl moaning like during sex, and it just awakens him, and that's how he gets up to start killing the girl with the liquid nitrogen. Is he just wakes up, he's like sex, and then he just gets up and starts wreaking havoc. And it's like the writers of the film and the makers of the film, they were very aware of that. At that point, obviously, like people were already extremely aware of the formula of Friday the 13th in Jason X. And, you know, it's not considered the best of the franchise for some people, but I have heard that people consider it to be their favorite Friday movie. Not to me personally, but
get this, it's because of what the franchise is, because you know it's like, okay, these are like kind of stupid, and get that, and you can tell like just from fan reactions to different ones, like anyone who's a fan of it knows it's stupid, right? But there are levels. It's kind of like, it's like, yo, there are rules even within this stupidness, and sometimes like, again, I think Jason Goes to Hell is terrible. I don't like it. I also see why people don't like Manhattan, and I don't like 5, so I see why people don't like 5. 1 also, I'm sorry, get this, it's important because of like moviedom, but like it's not good. Like it's like even by then standards, it's still not good. But you know, it kicked off a franchise, and like and Tom Savini, honestly, alone, like the effects and stuff, like yeah. So like that, I guess so. The movie is like important, but there are levels to the dumbness. But Jason X, it's like that's of course, space. Like it's like where else? Well, like he's already gone to Manhattan. You've already seen him in 3D. You even got one movie where you were maybe a kid like me, and you just watched Corey Feldman, you know, hack him to pieces, and probably the best one up until that point. And then you watch the next one, and turns out it wasn't even Jason. And, you know, you get pissed off. And I will never forget that. I was like 13. And I was like binging all of the Friday the 13th movies. It was my first time like watching them like straight through. And I got to that one. And I remember just feeling like, I was like, yo, that was a waste of my time. And then I watched the 6th one. I was like, I would have just like, I got no new information from
none at
the
all.
5th one, like at all. Like I could have just skipped it. And
it's very synonymous to all type of
and I love
franchises.
the design of.
You love the design of what?
Because even with Nightmare on Elm Street now, Nightmare on Elm Street, the Uber Jason, like when he gets his like tech upgrade, like the chrome, like he's like a zombie, like it's like I love that. I love it.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite Jason designs, aside from 6, obviously. I like the design in 6 and blah blah blah. Oh crap, Manhattan, because Manhattan, like, I know he looks like the Swamp Thing.
Yeah,
he's just all gross and like Kane Hodder, you know. He's all like he does like those. I know his Jason is like fast and like antsy, like he's like.
It's not Kane Hodder in Freddy versus Jason, right?
Oh yeah, I come on. You think I would be talking this all the crap I've said about Friday the 13th so far? I definitely am aware of that whole controversy, and apparently he still is butthurt about it, which I can understand. I think it is corny, but I guess this is a good segue. Freddy versus Jason.
That's another movie that I saw.
Freaking-tastic.
In 35 last week. I saw that as a double. It was a triple feature. It was Jason X, then Freddy vs. Jason, which was the highlight, and then Saturday the 14th with Richard Benjamin in it. And he looks just like Ben Shapiro. Like the entire time I was like, Richard, if you look up a picture of Richard Benjamin, and if you could put it up in your screen if it's possible, I don't think I can. That dude looks like Ben Shapiro. Let me hang on a second. Let me get something real quick. I have it literally right here. Hang on. Oh god.
But it's Saturday the 14th. Is that like a fan film?
It's not a fan film. It is a spoof film that was made back in like like in the 80s, I think. It
I
was
feel like I've heard of
obviously.
it before.
So this guy's in it, and he looks just like fucking Ben Shapiro. Like if you like, he looks just like him.
Oh,
You
he
see that?
does.
That's not Ben Shapiro, by the way. That is fucking Richard Benjamin, and he's in that movie Friday the Saturday the 14th, and it's not a spoof movie per se. Like it kind of is, but it's not calling back to any movie like specifically. It's just making fun of horror movies as a whole at that point, because like even back then in the early 80s, like horror films were very predictable, and it goes to a ridiculous level of showing off the humor. Right now it probably won't translate well. It hasn't dated well for people that watch horror today.
No.
Um, Even though people like the same type of horror movies are coming out right now, like The Nun 2 just came out. It's the same type of shit, and that's what
Horror
Saturday the 14th
today
was
is.
making fun
Wait,
of.
I want to talk about Freddy versus Jason, but I do want to I do want to talk about horror today, because I feel like that's gonna both be like, oh, isn't it great? And then at the same time, it's gonna be like, oh, Jesus. Because you're right. Shit like and I do, oh, you know what? I'm gonna say it, but I don't want to talk about it yet. I do want to talk about the new Exorcist. But
Okay,
yeah, you saw it, right?
I have not seen it.
No?
I had no
Okay.
desire to want to watch it.
I had no desire to see it either. So like I looked at some like spoiler stuff.
I do
And,
have
like,
some
some
things to say
articles.
about it though.
Okay,
And
let's
that's
do it now.
coming.
Then. Okay. Yeah. What?
Well, we can
You
do it a
want to
little
do it
bit
now?
later.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's
Freddy
do it
versus
later.
Jason. Freddy versus Jason.
Let's go to Freddy versus Jason. Like, so yeah, that obviously was the highlight for me, because it was at an unforgettable moment of my life with cinema, because the summer of 2003 was very eventful. The Hulk came out in my birthday in June 13th, the Ang Lee Hulk, and I personally like it.
You
Finding
like
Nemo,
Hulk?
yes, I did. I
Oh
love
my
Nick
god.
Nolte.
Dude, I went to go see that in theaters with my brother and my dad, and we all walked out of it. And me and my brother were kids. We all walked out of it, and we were like, "That was some
Mad as fuck.
bullshit." It
Oh
was
my
too
god.
artsy. It was too artsy. I've watched it as an adult, and I'm like, I get what Bull was trying to do. So like, I wouldn't say it's like a bad movie, but like, no,
It's one of
not
those.
a Hulk movie.
It's one of those. Well, it is a Hulk movie, but
It's a movie
it's not
about
one of
the
the.
Hulk.
Yeah, like, so that's as far as it goes, but it doesn't have the spectacle that you would probably want from a superhero film. He tried to make it more interpersonal, because obviously that's kind of what they explore around, like the lore of Hulk himself, is just trying to figure him out more as a person, and then you get kind of to certain action scenes, and sometimes, like in some of those scenes, they're really good, like when
Ang
you
Lee
see
should
him
have did a TV show then. I think a
Yes,
Ang Lee Hulk
I think
TV
so
show
too.
would have been, but for a one time going in, this is the first time the Hulk's on the big screen. I would just say wrong time. Now, if all the other superhero things happened as they were to happen, and then that movie came out like in 2013 or something like that, people would be like, "Oh, this is high art. This is he did something. No, you thought Spider-Man 2 was the shit." Oh. Yeah, really.
It came out. It came out a year before. It came out a year before Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
like at that point,
Spider-Man 2,
at that point, the best comic book movie made to me at that point was X2, X-Men United.
X-Men 2. That's the best X-Men.
No contest. Like that was like the best comic book movie I've ever seen at that point. And I saw X-Men in the theater as well. And that one had more of like a familiarity to the cartoons than anything. Like they have Rogue as the person that's kind of introduced to everything, just like the original series, I would imagine. I think it was Rogue, or it wasn't Rogue. It was a regular mutant girl, but she was kind of like
X-Men
the
Evolution
Avatar
more
guy.
than I watched. Like I didn't really watch the 90s one.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
watched. I loved.
I did. I watched that. We're getting off track. I'm sorry. We're talking about Freddy vs. Jason. But like what I'm trying to say is that it was a really good year for summer movies. One more thing I'm going to say is Bad Boys 2. That was my favorite movie of that summer. But Freddy vs. Jason was right there. It was tied, because I got exactly what I wanted. I got two big iconic horror fucking icons just beating the shit out of each other. And not only that, the movie had a story. Even though the story might have not been engaging and might have not worked for some
No,
people,
there's
it was still
clunky
something they
holes,
stuck to.
but there's holes obviously because one, it's a slasher
Yeah.
movie. So like
Yeah.
it's gonna be like stupid and like characters gonna do stupid
Mhm.
things, like the acting's gonna be like fucking bad in places. However, I think Freddy versus Jason, like we couldn't have asked for because like you're not. I don't think very rarely are movies, especially like movies that fans are yearning for, are perfect. You know, like it has happened from time to time. Like I still stand by Spider-Man 2. Oh my goodness, it could not have been. And same with Dark Knight. They could not have one exceeded expectations and like still to this day like just amaze me. So like it can happen. But with something like a slasher movie, you know, you do give leniency. I do. Like if I'm looking at a slasher movie. But with Freddy versus Jay, it really again, I can't really think there are things I would change about it. Like if I had my fans' wish and desire. Because like there's a lot of deleted scenes and stuff. Some of the deleted scenes people don't like. Like again, as a fan, like I would tweak it or whatever to make it perfect to how I see it. But the idea is brilliant. I can't think of any other. I feel like both guys got enough screen time. I think some people say like, "Oh, it's more of a nightmare movie than a Jason movie," and I'm like, "Well, that's the only way the movie would work. Like that's the only way it would work." So it is more of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. However, there's like a lot of Jason stuff in it that I think people who aren't that familiar with it, would peep. Like again, like him using Jason's mom to manipulate him. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
There is some stupid stuff that doesn't make sense though.
Well, the whole movie is stupid. Like, let's just get that out of the way. It is stupid, but that's not what makes like that's not what ruin it. It doesn't ruin the movie. It just
No, not at all.
it creates this world in this film where everyone forgot Freddy. So like you see him introduce like what his legacy was and
Well, they
how
kind of
fun it
and they
was.
established that stuff in the other Nightmare movies, kind of. Like I think like this one reminds me like a lot of the lore as far as the Nightmare stuff that I liked that they used in this was from Dream Warriors.
Yeah, one of the things I like is in the beginning of Freddy versus Jason, he's in his fucking dungeon, like he's in his lair,
His
and
boiler room.
yeah, his boiler room lair, and he's just like, ha, 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 this is one of my victims, and he's like licking the photo of the girl and putting it there, and like while he's doing that, there's an angry mob of parents just throwing Molotov cocktails into his, and he's like this, he's like that, like he's like, what? Well,
Oh,
I'm
no,
doing my.
he does one of these. He does one of these. Because he has a cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah, he has a cigarette in his mouth and shit.
It's like, what?
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, he's like, what? Did they find me and my.
Is perfect. And then they show all the highlights, like all the best kills from like the series.
Mm-hmm. But it's crazy. It's like, all right, yeah, this guy, he's the neighborhood child killer. There you go. Welcome to Elm Street, everyone. We all love each other here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just really crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's what the story is. He uses Jason to try to help people remember who he is, and then the cops are trying to cover it up. Like, they're like, yeah, every kid that's encountered Freddy, we just like put them in a mental hospital that's really easy to break out of. By the way, like
put them in
stupid
Weston
easy.
Hills.
Yeah,
we drug them up, and they pretty much just like drop off the face of the earth, like they're erased from reality. We black out obituaries, which again I think that's all cool because like that's kind of stuff like even some dumb stuff that people said they didn't like in Freddy's Dead. Now here's the thing about Freddy's Dead: it's fun to watch. It is like the worst one. Like even over Dream Child, because I think a lot of people shit on Dream Child, but I remember the first time I watched it and I was like, that wasn't like a good Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but like I liked it, you know, like Dream Child was weird, but
I liked
Freddy's
it too,
Dead.
but it was my least favorite of them all was Dream Child, but I liked it too. Yeah, I liked it too, but it was my least
The
favorite of all.
aesthetic and like the look and everything is cool, and like the concept is kind of
Yeah.
neat, but like it gets a little weird with the like. It's a lot of dumb stuff. Like, was it when
But
like
also
Freddy's
it's
mom
like
absorbs him?
it's been done before, and like the whole baby thing, like the whole baby MacGuffin thing has been done before, and then you're also
Baby
putting it
MacGuffin.
to a friend, yeah, to the franchise itself, which already was being like overly like saturated. Like every single movie had to pretty much like we've been like we as a whole as a society of people that love films like cinema goers all around the world or people just here in America, we argue about unoriginality, but we always go back to those things. That's why they don't go away. And we can't advocate for originality in the cinema because we don't make it ourselves, or we don't strive to try to like express different type of interest. And when we get it, no one goes to the fucking theater to watch it. Like Killers of the Flower Moon just came out. I mean, it's not necessarily original source material, but it's something that's definitely different that's coming out. Like it's different the way that it's made. Like it's very
It's a
uh
lot more original than like what you typically like. I get what you mean when you're like, oh, it's not necessarily original because like I guess maybe where the source material's from, but like
yeah.
nowadays with source material, we're literally just getting, hey, fine, perfect segue. This modern crap, just the remakes, the franchises, and like we've like even in the 80s, like with the slasher movies, one could attribute like a Friday the 13th, Freddy Krueger to like a Saw or a Conjuring. However, and you know what? No, because we can. I'm sorry. The Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th movies are a whole lot more fun than like I am sick. I like the first Conjuring. I
I do too. I think it's
I
fun.
have not seen most of the Conjuring universe stuff, but like the ones that I have,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude. And like you're right, like the Nun 2. When I saw an ad for the Nun 2 a few weeks ago, I was like, wait, what? I was like, I remember when I saw the ad for the first Nun, I was like, oh, that's dumb. Okay, but I guess people are probably gonna be dumb and go see it and be like, oh, that joint was scary. And it's like, no, it wasn't. I know it
That
wasn't.
I kind of don't mind those movies though. Like not only like the Nun, like these horror movies that come out that are kind of lame. Like really, these aren't movies that people are going to watch for the fucking story or just to watch a good movie. Like it sounds good, and they want to either take a date or a couple of their friends to go watch a horror film. And it's not original. It's not trying to break anything. Like it's just modest. Like not only the Nun, like movies like The Forest, which is based upon like the suicide forest in Japan, like things like that. Like people just like horror films for the aesthetics of it, and like just that, like just creepy architectures, and you have your girlfriend sitting next to you all scared. She wants you to put your arm around her and comfort her. Like it's more of like a social gathering, and that's why going back to like why I'm so much into cinema is horror films really encourage people to congregate together, and horror fans themselves. This is a great quote from a man named Jack Hill, I think. Well, it's Stephen King's son. I forgot his actual name, but he says that horror fans are very empathetic towards people because like when you watch a horror film you want to see that person make it. Obviously you have your films where you want to watch people die if you're a gore hound, but in a
Or
sense,
slasher movies because they
yeah.
make the characters terrible, but like when you're actually, I get what you mean, like just a regular horror movie where it's like a story, you're supposed to care about the main character.
Mhm. Yeah, and we're not going to put into examples, but yes, like there's a lack of originality. Going back to us talking about Exorcist Believer,
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't.
let's do
I
it.
had going off. I had no interest in watching it because of like the girls. Like they have that fucking familiarity of the original film, that fucking Linda Blair forehead
That's
on both of those
all they
girls.
did, dude. It's like oh, the first one, it was one possessed girl. This time
There's two,
we got two possessed little girls.
and they're two different races, so you can't complain.
And one's
Like
black.
stuff like that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's get into that. Now, this is now just a little disclaimer, guys. I know we keep getting off topic. So I just saw Barbie.
Yeah,
And I was telling Chris before the stream, I was like, yo, I freaking loved it, right? And
it's the best
I've heard
Exorcist movie out of all of
I've
them.
I've heard a lot. Barbie?
Yeah, Barbie's the best Exorcist
Barbie's
movie.
the best Exorcist movie. Hey, Warner Brothers, same distributor.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure people have heard, like, back when Barbie came out. It came out not too long ago. It's been one of the biggest movies of the year. Hell, it might be one of the biggest movies in the let's say 5 years. And that's as far as money and impact culturally, right? So, movie is fantastic, very creative. The message is very broad, and there's something in it for everyone. However, the movie, guys, it's for Barbie fans and little girls. And when I say little girls, I mean like the little girl in every woman, right? That really is what like when you go in the purest way. A lot of people were upset about the movie, and they accused it of being, quote, woke, right? Now, we know what woke is, especially if you're familiar with my content or anything like that. You've heard me complain about it. Chris, whenever we do a thing about movies, at some point it comes up. I'm like, movies today, the politics, yada yada. Now, the reason why I use Barbie as an example is because a lot of people claim the movie was that, and it's not that. It is not. Objectively,
It's a movie that
I
it's a
stand by
movie
that.
that cares about its source material, and that's what Exorcist
Yes.
Believer is not.
Exorcist, right? And I didn't see that shit. I didn't want to see it, but I got a full plot breakdown, right? I've heard some things with opinions, and then others just talking about what the movie's about, right? The movie fucking sucks. I don't need to watch it. I know every single thing that happens. It is, get this, if you want to say something's woke, it is definitely that. It is lazy. It does not understand, one, its source material. And that goes for the novel and the film series. It does not understand the mythology, if you call it that, or the theology, I guess, that the source material has taken resources from. And the movie is mean-spirited, and it is guised as a let's all come together. But it is a mean freaking movie, which, if you haven't seen The Exorcist, it probably sounds crazy, but like and I'm just talking about the first one. It's a deep, deep movie that is like, it's really sweet. It does have a happy, bittersweet ending, believe it or not. And it's one of the scary. It is fantastic, especially
Max
director's
von
cut.
Sydow.
Director's cut is better, huh?
Yeah. Well, Max von Sydow, the priest in the movie, the priest, like the older guy, not the younger guy that's having mommy issues. The older guy that comes in to actually
The Exorcist. The
Marin.
Exorcist.
Yeah, Marin.
Yeah.
So like that movie, I feel it's a straightforward movie, and the horror to that film is that what's happening to that girl is it's like it's kind of unexplainable. Like you can't, like it's hard to figure out what the issue is, and like you maybe watching it understand, like if you have deep faith, especially in Catholicism for this film, you would say obviously an exorcist, but these people aren't religious, like, and this is happening to them. You know what I mean? The mom, she's trying to figure out like what the fuck's going on. And she's rich, she has resources, and she tries everything, and it's just not working.
That's most of the movie. Most of the movie is her just trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
And just the absolute barbaricness of this child, like how she's acting, and it's real. That's the frightening part of it. And the crab walk actually wasn't in the theatrical version. That showed up later.
The extended cut, I tell everyone, like, like my wife hasn't seen it yet, and it's because I can't find the director's cut on streaming, so I have to buy a copy. Because I told her, I was like, yo, I don't want you to watch it, because there's a scene, again, spoilers, guys, sorry. There's a scene, I think that's why the writer and the director, that's why they got that big feud. They got in a fight, and like they didn't talk for years, apparently. Because he cut that scene out, and Bull was like, dude, that's like literally you cut out the entire point. And the interesting is the author, right, and the writer of the book and the script,
William
he
Peter
wrote it
Blatty,
because,
I think his name.
Yeah, So he wrote The Exorcist because he believed in the devil. He believed in God, and like so, and he wrote a story. Like he read like some story about an exorcism, and then he wrote about that. And you know, it's about faith and stuff, and being tested, and why do you do the things you do, and why we believe, and oh, it's you know, it covers a few different topics, but like that's where he was coming from. The director thought it was interesting because he didn't believe, right? And I think that that's cool that you have those two perspectives. But like, I do think when I say, and like the director, what's his name?
William Friedkin. William Friedkin.
Yeah, freaking. Or didn't he? Oh, he just died, didn't he?
Yeah, he passed away a month ago, I think.
Is he dead?
Or 2 months ago. Yeah, he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was an asshole. I'm sorry. He
Yeah,
was a genius.
he was a genius, but not great with. Yeah, he was a jerk. I think he
was a
hurt the
jerk.
girl during the production with the wires. He really injured her back. And he kept doing takes, like he wouldn't stop. Yeah, he's
I heard he
a
would just shoot a
notorious.
gun on set, right? I heard he would just shoot a gun on set to like get their reaction, but he wouldn't tell anybody. Like, and again, I'm not just the production story, but like it's like the stuff again, the stuff after, like him cutting out that scene, and then like Bull being like, "Oh, dude, like, come on, like this is like my baby, like I get it, like I trusted you." Because again, like even how like the movie came about, they were very close. Like they met each other, and it was like, "Oh, yo, like you're the dude for this, man. This is gonna be so dope," and it was. But like he cut out, and the scene I'm talking about is it's pretty much the guys are taking a timeout, right? They're taking a break, and they're on the steps, and they're talking. And the young bull is like, yo, like, what the fuck? Like, why this girl? Why is this going on? And the exorcist tells him, like, dude, this is not even about the little girl. And he was like, this is about our faith. This is about screwing with us. This is about evil, because evil doesn't like lies and all. Like, he gives this fantastic speech, and it's like the whole point of like the whole movie, dude. Especially considering a few scenes after that, you know, these dudes both sacrifice themselves. And I think it like just for that one scene alone. I mean, obviously all the other effects like the crab walk and stuff like that, like, yeah, it's awesome. But like I think just that one scene alone. Yeah.
That line, because it's already established that man's mother passed away and he left her at a home, and she clearly did not want to be there. So the fact that entity brings up his mother is more of like, yes, we are aware she's here, and it's fucking frightening, and it would frighten regular audience viewers. You know what I mean? Like that's what made Exorcist very scary, is people like it played with people's belief in faith, and it like turned it on its head. Like, well, this is the other side, and this side is real if you believe in that other side. You know what I mean? It pushes it forward. That's why it's considered one of the scariest movies of all time, because it coincides itself with people's belief in religion, and it actually plays on it in a way where it's in its benefit of the film. It's more impactful that way, and that's why it's got an Oscar nomination, because it does have a very deep message. And not a lot of horror movies went to that feat. You know, there are a few, but there are not many examples right now.
I mean, we named the only ones that have ever gotten any kind of Oscar. So I mean,
yeah.
but
there are many great there are many great horror movies out there. I think there's one that I still haven't seen, but I have a copy of it. I think it's called Possession, and it's from '81, and it's this woman that's just like slowly like deteriorating through, like, I guess some entity trying to get within her. And I see this scene where this
did you see Saint Maud?
Yeah, like 3 years ago. I don't really remember a lot about it, to be honest.
Yeah, me either, because like I didn't like it. Like,
yeah, that's how I felt. It was one of those really quiet indie films, and it was playing in an indie theater, but I saw it on the Criterion Collection, I think, was that movie, Saint Maud.
I think I watched it like on Amazon.
There's another movie that's actually really good that I think you should check out. It's directed by Paul Verhoeven. He's the director of RoboCop, Starship Troopers. Yeah. It's called Vendetta, and it's not Vendetta. It's with a B. Ben, Bendetta, and it's an incredible movie. It's based on a true person, this nun back in basically earlier times in Italy, and she's a nun. and you kind of explore around like the system of that society where like religion was the power, and you get to see these nuns that they had this past. Like obviously nuns are pure you know, they're pure and you know all that stuff, but you get to see that some of these women that serve these churches, they have a history of abuse, of prostitution, and like the only places that they can stay are these church houses. And in order to do that, they have to be able to serve for the church. And in some cases, if you don't live by the rules, they will punish you, like in a really, really bad way. And this nun in particular was a lesbian. And like she
Oh,
wasn't able to be able to express a lot of her sexuality that she
the
had.
plot
There's also a lot.
thickens.
There's also a lot of symbolism in that film that's really interesting. I suggest you check that one out if you have the opportunity. It's called Vendetta. That's a great movie. There's a lot of great horror movies that are out there that people don't really peak. Because you know we're used to the ones that are like really really saturated, but there are people out there that really do try very hard. But there are still great horror movies that are very well known. I mean, we all know Ari Aster with Hereditary in general.
Oh,
um,
of
but
course.
for some people it doesn't make that doesn't count for some people because how it was advertised. It was like, oh, it's the scariest movie ever made, and it wasn't. But it still was a movie that was expertly done, because not only do you get to see a tragedy happen that completely flips you like makes you flip the fuck out, you get to live through the effect of that. Like the director goes like, no, I'm keeping you here, like the girl's dead, now you got to go through the family like understanding what happened and still trying to maintain like normalcy throughout the movie, and it's really uncomfortable to sit through and traumatizing even for some people. I've actually even heard criticisms from that movie just because people were way too traumatized to be able to go through it. And I think that's something that the director did absolutely intentionally. Like, yeah, I'm not taking you to a movie to take you to a ride you're gonna enjoy. This is a fucking horror movie. I'm here to horrify you. And like
Yeah, it's supposed to make you
that's
feel bad, which those are usually the horror movies, like the ones, and I've like, you know, a lot of people say this, but like, it's like once it goes off, you're kind of still thinking about it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that like it scared you, but like if it's still like kind of like picking at your brain after you watch it, or like whenever like you're like by yourself after the fact, that's when I'm like, yo, that was a good one. And Hereditary was definitely, I think a lot they get like the trailer, the marketing. I don't want to say the marketing was poor because I saw it and I was like, yo, that was not what I was expecting at all. That was nothing like the trailers, but I loved it.
I
And I
loved it
like
too.
it when that happens. People will say trailers put too much in it, but then they get mad when trailers don't put like stuff in it. And sometimes trailers are edited to make it look a certain way, but I think that's done on purpose. Like, and then there are times where like I remember seeing trailers for Terminator 2,
Mhm.
like on the internet, and oh my god, they're dumb. Like they
How so?
ruined
Because I
they
don't.
because like in the marketing, pretty much they give away the whole point. Like, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually protecting John Connor, and
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
you, which I actually got to see it in real time, so I didn't tell my wife anything about any of the Terminators. We watched the first one, we watched the second one. So like, yeah, she didn't know. So like that scene, like where they're in the mall and like he's walking down, he pulls the shotgun out of the thing, and the roses fall, and you see the cop. It's like, and he's
Get
get
down.
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then pop, 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 pop. Yeah, my wife was like, wait, what? Like, so
Mhm.
that's like the trailer ruins it, and like Hereditary wasn't one of those things where it's like it didn't show enough or anything like that, but it was like the way it was kind of edited, and it was not like what you thought, and I
It,
thought that
well,
was dope.
the reason, yeah, also the reason why is because it didn't give a lot of context of what the movie was about. Like all you saw was this
Good.
really freaky girl, and then how scary the movie is. Like, and the reaction towards that, and even movies that are even when the movie was just like before it was screened to a test audience, like the movie didn't give itself away. Like it was just like, all right, here are the creepy, like here's the creepy look of the film, and then just figure out what it's about. Like, what's wrong with this girl? Why does this dude look weird too? Why doesn't he look like he's related to any of the family members? Like, you know what I mean? And I'm talking about the character of Alex Wolff, the brother of the girl. He doesn't look like he's related.
We find
to
out
anyone.
is the true main character of the movie, even though if you look at the ads, honestly, when I looked at the ads, I was like, "Oh, this guy's gonna die, man! Like he's gonna get like off or whatever." And then you come to find out, it's like, oh, it's always been you, Helen.
To me, the true main character of that film is Toni Collette, because she gives a fucking awesome performance. Like, just how it begins and how fucked up that meeting is on losing a family member, and like just what she went through. And I think the character that played her mother was Angelica Houston, I think. And she's one of my favorite actresses ever, but she's hardly in the film, but that's besides the point. It's like how weird her mother has been, how protective she was over the girl, and like then you start to figure out that the girl is a descendant of a demon, but the demon is not supposed to be in the body of the girl, so the body was disposed of and then brought into the character of Alex Wolff, and that's what brings everything into full circle. And that twist didn't really, at least the screening that I was in, it didn't make anybody in the audience enthusiastic about the film's ending whatsoever. Like, they were just laughing about it. There was a point when the movie was quiet, when the twist was given away, and someone went like, and then someone was just like, "Bless you," and then everybody just started laughing. Because it's, obviously, like, we're all going through this.
Everybody's
but it was
still
still
like, what the hell?
It was still a great fucking screening. Like, because even though a lot of people that walked away from it didn't really like the film, and I think it was because it traumatized them, it was still an experience to behold, because everyone was actually involved in what's going on in the film, and everybody was reacting to it the way that it used to be back in the day, when in the 80s and the 70s, when you're seeing something absolutely new and it's actually taking in and giving an impression on you. And that's what movies like. That's what a good movie is. I'm not saying that's what movies today should be, because movies today are going to be what they are today, and they're going to be in the past when we're in the tomorrow. Who gives a fuck about what you think movies should be? Movies are what they are, and that's just the way that you should take it. It's just when movies like Hereditary, or like Beau is Afraid, which is by the same director, Killers of the Flower Moon, when they come out, they're the ones that you can really appreciate, and especially one that you don't expect to be so good, like Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie. I did not think. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of almost halfway to liking Barbie even before I saw it, because like I was excited for it. When I heard about like just like the basic just plot or like what it was about, I was like, oh, that's interesting. The director was interesting. Everyone who was involved, I was like, well, these are people who like I trust. I don't think they would do something that's like dumb. And the movie was dumb, but like it again, if you haven't seen Barbie, you really gotta see. It is so unique. It is so. But Barbie's not a horror movie.
Barbie isn't a horror movie. It's a horror movie to some. Like,
I just saw Talk to Me.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that you really loved that movie.
I really loved it. I thought it was great. Very, again, like the idea is kind of generic, like oh, a bunch of teenagers messing with the dead, bad stuff is gonna happen. However, it would really, that was the kind of movie where it's like, yo, the execution, a lot like X also very generic idea and like plot, but like the execution was so dope that like oh yeah, talk to me. That is the
strengths to me for Talk to Me was the execution of it and the filmmaking, but the story within itself, it wasn't all that interesting to me. And I really, really wanted that movie to engage me, and it really didn't. The only times that it did is when the things happened, like the really bad things happened, and then I appreciate it for what it was. I think like visually they put their point across, and that's great. I guess my criticism just comes in from me just not being too enthusiastic about it. That's about it. But I can't not recommend that movie to people. I would say that they would have a good time if they want to watch like a straightforward horror film and something that you want to expect to be scared of. You're into like jump scares. Like those are good, and it's creative. Like it's very creative in the way that it approaches itself as well. And yeah, Talk to Me was fine. What other movie did you bring up? The other horror movie that it's Talk to Me.
I said X. I said
X.
X is kind of the same, where it's like
So
very basic, but the
yeah,
execution is really good.
yeah. It's like a callback to horror films of the 70s where it was like if you think about it in concept, a lot of movies that people make are horror films because they're so easy to make. All you need is one location, a mask or something, and a weapon, and like at least like four people, and then you've got a horror film, and that's the
Corn
budget.
syrup,
Yeah, and like X plays on that, but it also like it plays on the fact that they're shooting a movie and it's an adult movie, and that creates complication to the characters that are interacting with each other in the film, and then also the unexpected antagonist of the film is something that really made the movie for other people.
And the unexpected, I would say to a degree, protagonist, because like when the movie started, I thought it was trying to do one of those like, oh, we're gonna start with this girl and you're gonna think she's the girl, but then she's gonna die, and it's actually this girl that's the good girl. That's what I thought was gonna happen as far as the final girl stuff, because Maxine, I was like, oh, this slutty, trashy, gross. Like, yeah, like I can't wait to like. I was like, she's gonna be important, and Mia Goth, obviously, like I knew she was a big deal, but I was like, yeah, this girl's gonna like her death is just gonna be awesome, and like maybe like her flaws are gonna be like the core, the Joan. But our final girl is obviously Jenna Ortega, because like it's Jenna Ortega, and like her character was so sweet, and then before even really scary, like people bodies start like dropping, Jenna Ortega.
She ends up being the dumbest fucking person in the movie.
And she ends up just being in a porno randomly just because like some people were talking about
that's
it.
not
And,
that's not why
boyfriend.
that's not why she's dumb. It's like the effect of what's happening to her. And look, I can understand that she's like really fucking scared, so she has no survival mechanism in her brain at that point because she's too terrified. But it's like when
something stupid in the end, yeah.
Yeah, that was. But not only that, it's like when she slammed the door to try to open the knob, she like literally opened it at the wrong side. It's like your arms aren't that long, you dumbass, and then that's why you get your fucking hand like pretty much like just decapitated. And yeah, she does do more dumb things along the way. And that's it. It's not necessarily a frustrating thing. The fact that she did participate in the porno is not something that drew me away from her. I actually kind of felt bad.
Oh no, I'm not saying it drew me away from her. What it told me was she was gonna die. That's what it told me.
Okay. For me, it just told. For me, what it told me was that I feel bad for her because her boyfriend is putting her in this position because he doesn't trust her. And then the ironic part is that she ends up doing exactly what he was afraid of right in front of him. And that is a horror that he's living through. And then he ends up being like the first victim.
You know what's messed up in this one? Like, again, it's very stereotypical. And like, they do set up a lot of like terrible people who you're like, oh, I can't wait till they get killed. But then like, honestly, like Jenna Ortega and like the sound guy or boyfriend or who's the camera guy. Like and even Mia Goth, even though Mia Goth, like I did think it was going to be like a psych out and Mia Goth was going to get like killed and then Jenna Ortega was going to be like our hero. But like I cared about them. Like even when Jenna Ortega, like even though like it had nothing, like the horror hadn't really like at least the bodies hadn't started dropping yet, but like during that scene, that was like one of the scariest scenes for me when she was like, oh, I want to be in a scene. I was like, wait, no.
I turned my head. I was like, oh, for real? I wanted her to do it. I was like, yeah, fuck her. I didn't even know who the fuck she was. I'm like, damn, that girl, fine little motherfucker. I was like, she want to be in it? Okay.
She is the newest up and coming scream queen.
Yeah,
she's gonna be up there with Jamie Lee, bro.
I was not a fan. I'm not a fan of the newer Scream films. I don't care.
I have not seen either.
I don't care for them.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
heard
I mean,
like I heard they were good. I was like,
nah,
yeah.
I didn't like those.
What'd
But
you
you
think of
might like.
Pearl? Did you see Pearl?
I love Pearl more than X. In fact, I think Pearl's one of like the great films of now. Like when it comes to like when you talk about the best films that have come in the recent years. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah, I love
I
it.
love
It's
it.
great. All of it is great, and that is her best performance so far.
Oh, wait
And
till the third one, dude. Maxine, it's coming. It's coming.
Maxine,
It's
yeah, yeah.
coming. It's
Like
coming.
I was in the theater, and I mean, I don't know if you know me. When I'm in the theater, I like to stay after the credits. Like
Yeah,
I
for the
stay.
credit. Yeah.
I stay through the entire
Mm,
fucking thing. And
mm.
after Pearl, they showed you the teaser of Maxine, which is literally just it's synth pop, and then just like
Yeah.
it's a recreation of the Hollywood Hills with her name on it, and that's pretty
X.
much it. Yeah,
Maxine.
Maxine.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't wait. I think they already finished filming it. It's just now in post
Yeah, it's
production.
dude, everything, which is crazy because like even with Pearl, like Pearl was done like in secret or whatever,
The
and they
same.
did it like really fast.
It was done
Same set.
consecutively. It
Yeah.
was done
Like,
consecutively. The same time when they finished X, they went right to doing Pearl.
and Mia Goth co-wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
like
She helped with
she
it.
co-wrote it.
Exactly.
It reminded me of Kill Bill.
You should, if you like Pearl, you should watch Infinity Pool. That's a Brandon Cronenberg
I
movie.
know. I wanted to see it. I
Mm.
wanted to see it. I wanted to
Have
see
you
it.
seen Have you seen any of his movies? That's David Cronenberg's son. If you know that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
Now
Brandon
just from the
Cronenberg is his
trailer,
son.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Just from
yeah.
the little bit I saw, like in the trailer, I could definitely
You
see. Like, okay,
you should watch his other movies. You should watch Antiviral. That's his first. That's his first feature
I
film.
think I might have seen that. That sounds
That
familiar.
that's
What
the
is that
one.
about?
Well, so it's about a guy. I can't know the specifics of it, but it's a world where people are so obsessed with celebrity that they
Celebrities.
literally
I did see it. I did see it. I did see it. That's what I thought
they
you were
like
talking
buy
about. Yeah.
buy meat. They buy the meat of the people, like, and it's all done
Yeah.
through like cloning and stuff. It's disgusting, but it's his best movie. Like my opinion is
I
his
did
first
see
movie
it.
is
I
his
did
best
like
movie.
it.
Possessor, have you seen that one?
No.
Possessor was his second. That is amazing. Like just watch the beginning and you're gonna be yeah, he's great. He's great with body horror. And yeah, I believe he transcends the act of like doing like the effects of people dying and the reaction of when someone gets hit with something and how they really react. He does it in such a way where it's still cinematic and tasteful and it's not just gratuitous and disgusting. Like Brandon Cronenberg, like I'd say check out Possessor or check out Infinity Pool. I think Infinity Pool is his worst movie, but it does have Mia Goth. That's why I recommend it. And it's got Peter Sarsgaard in it. I think he's in it as well. Just check it out. Yeah, check out his movies.
Cool. Speaking of Skarsgård,
what's
Barbarian, modern
yes,
horror.
Yes, that's a good one. Also made by.
Really liked it.
It's an amazing movie. We talked about that quite a while ago, and yeah, I knew that you would like it when I mentioned it. I was like, yeah, this is something Shannon would totally dig. And Justin Long, I mean, come on. Like at this point, I kind of hate how unappreciated I feel he is. You know what I mean? Like he should be in more movies and he should be in bigger roles because I think he can pull them off, man. He's really good. But yeah, freaking Barbarian. Yeah, that's also one of the great horror films of today. In a sense, like not great. Like for me, I think like for me, I didn't like it as much as other people do, but I did appreciate it. Like for 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 it just being understood as a good movie. Like I think. But it's not. It wasn't. It wasn't like my favorite horror film of that year. I think I even like Smile better than I did Barbarian. But I still enjoyed it. Like I still thought it was a pretty good movie, and it did have like a structure to it that really successfully like made itself known. Like and people understood what the movie was trying to do. It was a really well executed movie, and it's really good for that director because his first movie didn't do so well, and he didn't direct since then. Like his last movie was in 2009, and it was a comedy called Miss March. No one went to see that. I think he's.
I think I started watching that, like this, like back when it came out, and
I saw it in a
yeah,
theater.
I hadn't. You went to you one of the
I went to
7
the
people that
theater.
went to go see Miss March in
Yes, literally, I was one of the 7 people. You want to know the crazy one of the craziest movie experiences I had, like where I was in a theater alone. I went to see Dylan Dog Dead of Night, that Brandon Routh movie, where he's like a
I
hunter
remember
of the
that. Yeah.
supernatural. Dude, I was at the
Yeah.
Regal in Conshohocken before it was renovated. Like the Regal in Conshohocken, where we are, anyway. I was there before it was renovated. The ceilings were falling off. Like there were hardly ticket holders. Like I could have just walked in the movie theater. When I was watching the movie, in the middle of it, a
That's most
homeless
theaters
man.
today.
Dude, while I was in the movie theater, I was there. It was falling apart. There was a homeless man that just trotted in, and then he just started smoking a cigarette at the front row of the theater, and then he passed out, and he was kicked out. But still, it was like, yo, what the fuck's going on? He just like waddled in, like nothing, like just. And I'm like, why are you here? Because it takes a lot to get to the Regal, like where we are, because you got to go through traffic, and you have to like walk up that big driveway. Like it's like, what are you doing here? Um, that was one of the craziest ones. Like in a sense of like where things were desolate. I have other like theater stories and stuff, but like that's just one of them that I was like, why did that happen?
Well, that shows you that if something like that happens in a theater, that shows you the kind of movie that it is, and the kind of people it attracts.
Yeah, that movie was not received
Uh,
well. People gave it a 0 when that came out. I actually like that movie.
I was gonna say we should wrap it up soon. Darnell,
We
I see you
should.
in the back.
I have a 24-hour movie marathon tomorrow. By the way, I didn't
Oh,
mention
so
that.
you gotta go.
I don't have to
Because
go, but I
honestly,
do
I
want
still have to. I gotta work on. I have another Halloween thing that I'm working
thing
on.
that you have
I
to
told
work
you
on.
about it.
Okay. I probably do have to get some sleep because I have to get to the Colonial at like 11 a.m. and I'm gonna be there till 11 a.m. on Sunday, like at the theater. I just had a text from a friend of mine who's telling me like, dude, bring deodorant, bring mouthwash, bring a second set of clothing, like
A
because
coffee
I was
pot.
asking, yeah, like I was like, what the fuck? I have a big thermal that I'm just gonna have coffee like just filled to the brim. So I can,
I have work tomorrow, but lately at work, I've been like, especially like the past like few weeks, I've been just watching like slasher movies and stuff like on my phone. So I'll probably definitely get in that. But horror movies, they are great.
Horror movies are influential in general. They will be influential for a long time because of the extremity of what you see on the screen, and that's as long as movies are going to be influential. One of the most influential genres of cinema is horror, and take it or leave it. It doesn't matter how bad you think these movies are. These movies do touch the souls of many people out here. You know, what you consider cinema
As much as
might
y'all
be
want to
different from
hate.
other people. Yeah, exactly. And we're gonna leave it at that. Happy Halloween, everybody! It's in next week, but for right now, we're just gonna do this show for this month. It was really fun doing this with you, Shannon. I can't wait to do the next one.
This was and we're gonna guys more stuff. I probably should have. I just realized I did not put the link to the. So probably the first few we'll probably stream it to like me and Crispy's channel, but I did make a channel for Flip the Switch for movie stuff. We got ideas, stuff is cooking. Crispy Bacon 692, go subscribe to his channel. He does reviews. He knows far more about movies than I do. And then if you're watching over there, I'm just Sprow. So that's it. Yeah, flip the switch, gang. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.